And so he says, here's the deal. God didn't want it. God allowed it. God's comment on marriage and divorce, do you know what he says in Malachi? I hate divorce. It's not, I don't care for it. I don't prefer it. He says, I hate divorce. But women have to be protected and women have to be taken care of. And if the men won't do, like it says in Ephesians 5, to lay down their lives for their wives, then we had to step in. I had to step in because I care about the lowly, I care about the orphans, I care about the widows, and I care about women who are not being taken care of. But it was a concession for sin, and you should never move toward that lest you fall into the abyss. Why did you allow it? And then he goes on. And he says, in fact, and he gets harder about it. He goes, hey, and anyone who divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, and that's the word porneia in the original language, that's a pretty all-inclusive immorality kind of term, you know what? Makes her commit adultery. And so he says, you might have thought that the piece of paper made you unwon. But I'm not so sure. You might have thought that once you left, that you were done with it. You might have thought that there would be no ghost that came back. You would have thought that once you signed a piece of paper that you were done with it. But some of you who have second marriages, some of you who've experienced this, you know that that's not so easy to do because Jesus says it was meant to be permanent. It was meant to be one. It was meant to be what two come together to make one. And he goes, I'm not so sure. You can say that you're done with it, but I'm not so sure that your Heavenly Father would say that you are. And so that makes some of us go, oh my gosh, what are you saying to me? I mean, that makes us feel very uncomfortable. That makes us really, really want to shrink back from what Jesus says. Makes us want to really reject what Jesus says, honestly. And in fact, like I told you in verse 10, the disciples hear and it says, gosh, if this is the way it is between a man and a woman, maybe we shouldn't even get married. He is hardcore. And Jesus says, hey, let me tell you, to whom it's been given, they can accept it. To whom it hasn't been, I guess they won't. And he turns around and walks off.